Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to GameKheyl. My name is Naveed, aka Barely Average Gaming, and today we are continuing with the flow that we have had with the UFC streamers and gamers, and we've had ourselves another gem of a player. If you want to talk about this man, he is an elite streamer and a gamer. And just to add a feather to his cap, he is the winner of the eSports UFC tournament that was held a few days ago. So without any further ado, we have ourselves Mr. Crook. Sir, how are we doing today?
I am doing great, bro. I hope you're doing well as well. I hope everybody that's watching this is doing good too. Hope everybody's safe. There's a lot of things going on in the world today, so hope everybody's doing good.
Absolutely. Right now, we're living under tumultuous times, but at the same time, it's good to see people like yourself sharing content and making the world somewhat a better place for all of us. So that's really that's really great to see. As far as streaming is concerned, in our last interview with Pryoxis, we got to hear something that we have rarely heard. We rarely get to hear from someone of that stature, and he specifically pointed you out as the next big thing. So just a little bit about that. What does that make you feel?
I mean, it kind of caught me by surprise, to be honest. When you dropped your interview, I was at work, and one of my really good friends, Dave, he shot me a clip, and he's like, "Bro, Pryoxis shouted you out." And I was like, "Yeah, that's my guy, though." Me and Pry kind of started becoming elite players pretty much at about the same time in UFC 3. So he's really got to see the maturation of myself going into being an elite player. Of course, he was an elite player as well, but he took his route to streaming. And he was really the person that put me on streaming on YouTube, because I was streaming on Twitch, and he was just like, "Bro, there's so much more people to be reached out here if you go to YouTube." And he's really kind of giving me advice all the way through. So shout out to him for giving me that praise. I mean, it's cool. It's nice to hear. And I really appreciate it. But yeah, it's really been kind of crazy. I watched your interview like 4 or 5 times already.
I'm really glad to hear that. It helps us with the views. For everyone watching, again, we are relying on your support in order to get to our goals. Again, like we've mentioned in the previous interviews, we're trying to upgrade our setup. We're trying to get things done the right way. We will be doing some esports tournaments in the future as well. But we're taking one step at a time. And right now, the step that we have is with our guest today. Speaking on the subject of growing, like you mentioned, you and Pryoxis kind of have the parallels when it comes to your own growth, when it comes to UFC and the esports, combat esports, so to say. So we have to talk a little bit about that. So your journey, perhaps with this game, may have started a bit earlier than that. So if you'd like to share a bit about how you got into UFC.
Well, I got into playing UFC during UFC 1, at the very beginning of UFC 1 when it dropped. EA Sports is UFC. I played under THQ's UFC and Undisputed and all that stuff, but I really started grinding hardcore on UFC 1. I just fell in love with the game, man. I fell in love with combat sports. I'm not a very aggressive person by nature, so it's kind of weird that I would gravitated towards fighting and stuff like that. But in UFC 1, I fell in love with the game. So, and then during UFC 2, I started playing a little bit more competitively. I got in a camp, T4H on the Xbox side.
Yeah.
They really showed me how to grapple. So I got really, really good at grappling. I became an elite player, top 100 player, top 50 player in that game. And then right before UFC 3, I left T4H. I joined Vegas MMA. So I got in there with Kinetic NRG, Z Hunter, D.A.R.K, and at the time Anza. And then they just took my game to a whole nother level. I mean, I got down to the nitty gritty, like reads, how to make reads, how to strike, how to do this, how to set up your grappling. And really, it just took my game to the next level. And during UFC 3, that's when I really took over as a competitive player, which is actually when I met Pry. Was right before I joined Vegas MMA, because we were both recruits for us to join them. And then, I just was an elite player at UFC 3. And then in UFC 4, for probably the first couple months, I wasn't a very good player, but I caught on. I was able to make my reads. I was able to adjust to the game and really just put in the work, put in the time, and make myself as good at this game as possible. Obviously, I had my struggles. I talk about it on my stream a lot. I was a very, very bad player in UFC 2, man. I thought I was the bee's knees, man, but it wasn't the case. But now in UFC 4, being an elite player for the last 6 years, I'm just trying to help the community become better players by, dropping tutorials and being here and more available to the community. I feel like a lot of elite players, when I was coming up, they weren't there to answer your questions. It was only them playing other elite players, and they were just kind of keeping the upper echelon of knowledge kind of amongst themselves. So it's kind of like they were just hiding stuff from people. And I'm just not with that, man. I want everybody to be able to prosper, everybody to be the best players that they can. If you want to be an intermediate player at this game, then cool. But it's not because the knowledge isn't there for you. You know what I mean? So throughout my whole journey, that's just what it is. And even going forward with my content is just to provide entertainment for people and to just help people become the best players that they can be at this game.
All right. So like you mentioned a few things about your own journey when it comes to gaming. We have to talk about you as a streamer. I mean, there has to be something that inspired you, perhaps a few individuals, perhaps you thinking that you have to help community a certain way, like you just mentioned. So what was like the genesis of you as a streamer?
Starting out, man, I really don't. I just wanted to entertain. Like that's just what I like to do. I like to bring joy to people's life, and when they're in my stream, I like to take their mind away from what they might be going through. Me as a kid, I guess it started real young for me. I went through a lot. I was raised by a single mom. She worked 9 to 5, and she would come home, but she'd be tired, and I would do everything that I could to make her day a little bit better if I seen that it was bad. So that kind of just carried into even into my streaming. But somebody that really, really motivated me to stream obviously was Pry. My daughter. I have a daughter in real life, so she really pushed me to want to do something to set it up long term. I mean, I can't compete at an elite level for my whole life. My reaction time is going to eventually go, and I'm not going to be as elite of a player, but right now that I am, and my reaction time is good, I'm going to set something up for myself in the future. So she was a big driving. Martial Mind. Martial Mind is the end goal, man. That dude, he's been making content for so long. He motivated me. Ricky J, MMA Game. Man, there's a lot more others that I could name, but those guys in particular, they really gave me the blueprint, and they really gave me the end goal of what I want to reach. And so I just when I started up, I was like, okay, I need to get on the high horse here and just try to outgrind them as much as I can. I mean, now those guys are like Pryoxis is a full-time streamer. I can't do it every day, but damn it if I'm not going to try, you know what I mean? So those guys that really pushed me to be the streamer that I am today.
And I think with the names that you've mentioned, a lot of them would actually be the best individuals to emulate, or perhaps have the blueprint to follow. So some real amazing names, like you mentioned, a lot of them also supporters of GameKheyl. So really happy to see those names come up, and also shout out to all of them. And another shout out, again, I think for every interview that we have done, we have to give our salute or tributes to all the single mothers, all the mothers who are putting in the effort to make their gamer kids have a better life. So again, our GameKheyl tribute to all the mothers who might be watching this. Now, coming back to something that we mentioned earlier. So recently there was an eSports tournament that was held by the UFC Twitch channel, and you, sir, came out on top against some players in the world. So how was that like? And considering the competition that you faced, if you can just give us a rundown of what you went through during those hours.
Well, leading up to it, I didn't even really know if I was going to compete. Like a couple days before, I didn't know because I had to work. But when the day came, I actually got my COVID-19 shot the day before. So I was really sick the day of, man. Like I had flu-like symptoms. And I really just went out there and I just played my game. I after my first fight, I was a little bit nervous, but once I won the BJ Penn Tyron Woodley fight, I was like, okay, nobody's going to beat me in this tournament. But I knew that everybody was kind of counting me out anyways, because I was going to run into Ed Parker. And then after that, I was going to run into potentially like Dabikin or, all these elite players, Perseus, Dirty Dave, guys that I ended up fighting. But it was really just it was such a surreal feeling for me because I wasn't nervous. Like even in my Ed Parker fight, Ed Parker has beaten me plenty of times on ranked championships. He ran a set with me on stream and just had annihilated me with his Connor. But that day, I knew I wasn't going to be beat, man, and I knew that he wasn't better than me at that moment. And so I just pushed through. I think I really got people's attention after I beat him, and in the fashion that I beat him with the players that I beat him with. I beat him with Renan Barão and Dominic Cruz, which are not very utilized players, other than Pry using Dom Cruz. But Renan Barão kind of shocked everybody. And then after that, it was Dirty Dave, and he took me up to heavyweight, thinking that he could just grapple me or just beat me up because that's not really my preferred weight classes. I got rid of him up there. And then once I got into the finals, I knew Davikin wasn't going to beat me because I just had a feeling. I was just on a roll, and I knew where my mindset was, and I knew how he played. I had played him previously probably about like 2 or 3 times and beaten him every time. I should have got it done with my Robbie Lawler pick. That would have been the icing on the cake for the character picks. But, I had to bring out Connor in the final and be able to get it done. But it was definitely a draining day. And then going back and rewatching everything and going back and looking at, Bruce Lee, Rob, and Balin's commentary, it was honestly pretty crazy. It was pretty surreal. Because both of those guys know about my journey too, especially Bruce Lee, Rob, who at the end was talking about how much, he appreciates what I go through. Because, I'm kind of one of the more underrated players in the game, even still to this day. You don't hear my name being thrown around in the best players in the world, which is kind of, to me, it used to irritate me because I'm like, man, I've been dominating this series for so long, man, and I still don't get my respect. But you know what? After that tournament, I don't think anybody didn't know who my name was. But I wasn't able to participate in the grand finale because I had to work. Shout out to Death Punch for being able to get the dub in that grand finale. He won his money. I actually just competed against him in the ESFL on a late notice fight. He beat me, but it was just that whole day, man, was just crazy. I was in my mind, I was just like, okay, I got to stay focused because the second I start relishing where I'm at and really just like starting to feel the hype, I'm gonna get thrown off. So I was able to just stay focused and dominate the tournament in the fashion that I did, and we're here now.
Yeah, I think there's a very important thing that you mentioned. Never drink your own Kool-Aid. I mean, the way you said your entire journey went on that day. Sometimes at certain circumstances or certain difficulties that come your way, they create the perfect storm. They give you the right amount of intensity and focus because you're like, okay, so everything else is not going to plan. So this is the reality that I'm stuck with. So why not just make the most out of it? So I think that's kind of what I take away from your journey. And again, shout out to all the names that you've mentioned. Also, I explicitly remember your name because prior to my interview with D.A.R.K, I was not very familiar with you. And what happened was Ed was very adamant that he wanted to win the tournament. And I believe you got him out in the second round.
Yeah, I did.
Like, ooh, that's interesting. And right after that, you were on a roll. You won the entire tournament. So that's where I started to gravitate towards what you were doing. And on that subject, there's another thing that I noticed. There are some initials missing from your name, which were there in the tournament. So I believe you were repping a team called Elite Kings, or EK, if I'm not mistaken. So I believe you're not with that team anymore. Are there any specific reasons to that?
I just the level of talent. EK is more of an Xbox based camp. A lot of their members and a lot of their players are on Xbox. They had just started recruiting a little bit of EK players over here on the PlayStation side. And I ended up leaving for D.A.R.K, which is Romero, Swiss Lebix, Pre-United. It's Romero, Swiss Lebix, Zayev, and Paprika, and those are all really good players on the PlayStation side, and they're just on PlayStation. They're not branching off to Xbox or anything like that. And just the skill level was just really what took me away from EK. And I kind of had a little bit of beef with EK because beforehand they didn't help me practice for the tournament. I didn't get any spars from any one of them except for one. EK Bang Bang, who was also in the tournament with me, I gave him work to try to emulate Pryoxis, who I actually know very, very well because we fight so much. But none of them really gave me training sessions. Nobody really got on and said, hey, let's spar. Like, hey, let's do this and let's do that. So I mean, I kind of won that tournament with no sparring from my own campmates, which isn't really how a camp, in my estimation, really should be working. But I left for D.A.R.K. Those guys, they spar a lot. They practice against each other a lot. So I knew that it was going to raise my level of play up to another level, and that's really what I like to do. I was friends with Romero. I've been friends with Romero since UFC 3. I was really cool with Zayev from the beginning of UFC 4. Swiss Labix I had known since UFC 3. So I mean, it just kind of felt like the right time. I had been trying to get in D.A.R.K. for a while. I've been trying to get in D.A.R.K. for a while, but I just wasn't competing on the ESFL scene. So the two just never really meshed. But when I won that tournament, the timing was right, and we headed over to D.A.R.K. and I haven't looked back since, man. I don't regret it at all.
Mm-hmm. And also, you mentioned a few other teams. You were initially, I believe, back in UFC 2 or 3, you were part of T4H, and after that, Vegas MMA. So there are a few names that pop up. And also, before I mentioned that, a shout out to Zayev, who was also our guest here at GameKheyl. Unfortunately, a victim of the GameKheyl curse, quote unquote, if you're familiar. So yeah. We have a few, like you mentioned, we have teams like T4H and Vegas MMA. So you've been around the scope of what the entire community is all about. So there are training camps, there are people. For the lack of a better term, the community can be a little toxic at times, but also there are some really bright spots to it, some really helpful individuals. So I would just want to get your assessment towards what you feel how the community is, and what does the community need to do in order to get this game or get this entire, how do I even phrase that? Like, so in my perspective, this game is $1 million investment against which the company is making $10 million. But ideally, it should be $1 billion company making multi-billion dollars out of this specifically, considering the fact that it's a sports simulator and it has the potential of, let's say, like NBA 2K or something like a FIFA. But the game itself is not necessarily up to the mark, and the community itself is not really, driving that kind of momentum. So what do you think it will take for the community to get to that level?
Really, in terms of the game's gonna get better. I feel like UFC 4 was really a tester game. They really revamped, not really revamped it, but what's the word for it? They reinvented all of these systems all at one time. So like they implemented a new subsystem, a new clinch system, some new striking systems, as well as a new grappling system, all in one game. So you can see there's really good things about this game, and then there's really bad things, but the really bad things just came because they didn't put enough time into each system. So a lot of the systems have flaws in them. But going forward, I feel like the game is going to be in such a better place, man. It's the things that they brought in and they introduced, you can see the direction that they're going. I just hope that they don't continue to implement new stuff without working on the stuff that they already have in place. So as the UFC grows and as it becomes bigger than what it is now, you're getting new stars in the sport. It's going to grow. So the game, I feel, is going to get better each year. The community itself, I think it just subscribes to what's going on in terms of what's popular now in combat sports, which is like, the Logan Pauls, the Jake Pauls, just crap talking. Everybody wants to be Conor McGregor, everybody wants to be Nate Diaz and all this stuff. They want to talk the talk, but it's not authentic, man. It's not everybody can be Conor McGregor. Not everybody can be Nate Diaz. Not everybody can be Logan Paul, Jake Paul. Those guys are authentic to who they are. Like that's just how they are as people. So it's like, in order for the community to get better, people just need to embrace who they are. Like, don't try to be something that you're not. If you're a good-hearted person by nature, then be that. That's all right to be that. I mean, that with me, that's the same way. What you see with me is what you get. How I am on streams is how I am if you meet me in person. If we hang out, how I'm talking to you right now in this interview is how I will talk to you in person. there's no fakeness in what I'm doing, and that's why I feel like so many people resonate with me. I resonate with so many people. So many people like watching my streams because everything that I say, I mean it. So the community, it has its toxic people in it in terms of the players of the game, but you don't really see too many toxic individuals like going off about people's families and all of that stuff like you tend to see in larger communities.
Yeah.
But the community itself is in an okay place. There's a lot more content creators, which is great to see. I mean, there's a lot of up and coming content creators that are really out here trying to grind like that, it's a beautiful sight to see, man. I get a lot of messages from people that are just starting up asking me on it for advice on what I did starting out. So it's really a nice thing to see. If we could just weed out and everybody could just be themselves, man, the community would be a 10 times better place, man, because you wouldn't have these toxic arguments that go on and these toxic fights that go on between people and all this stuff. But I mean, it's the fight game and people want to get to the top, and in real life, crap talking gets you fights. So in the community, that's the way people say people get to the top. They don't necessarily want to like have to work all the way up and take the losses. So I mean, it's going to be there regardless.
Yeah, I think there's one thing that the community needs to understand, and that is that there is enough sunshine for everyone. Like at the end of it's the same thing that I mentioned in the Pryoxis interview. It's just a few pixels moving around the screen. But there's nothing personal about playing a video game and maybe not getting the results your way. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a video game. I understand that it's a combat simulator, so emotions tend to run high, but it should not beyond jokes and fun. It shouldn't exist to the point where it becomes toxic and it gets personal. So as long as the community has each other's back, I mean, there are some brilliant things that we've been able to see with certain instances, like the community coming together for the amazing stream that Pryoxis had that raised over $500 organically. And at the same time, there was something that really horrible that happened about a few months ago with the passing of one of our own, Scott Hector, and the entire community came together to pay tributes to him. So there's a lot of positivity that the community tends to have, but at the same time, it shouldn't be sporadic. It should be more frequent. And I think that's going to encourage and gravitate more players towards the community and towards this game. So like we mentioned, there are a few things that this game needs to fix, which EA has been able to do successfully with UFC 4, with UFC 3, but hopefully with UFC 4 as well. But there's another name in town, and that is pretty much, it has the momentum running. It has a lot of eyeballs. It's picking up a lot of pace, and it has a lot of attention. And what I'm talking about is ESBC. It has a lot of people in it, and I would just want to get your perspective on that. What do you think this game is all about?
ESBC, I mean, everybody's excited for it because it's the first boxing game that's been dropped since Fight Night Champion. I mean, everybody's hyped on it, and everybody from everybody that's on the UFC 4 side, they just, I feel like so many people were disappointed with UFC 4 because they had such a high standard that I feel like they're just gravitating more towards ESBC with each and every day, especially with them prolonging how long they're working on the game. ESBC, it's going to be a banger of a game, man. The graphics look amazing. It's like I said, it's going to be the first boxing game to be dropped since Fight Night Champion. It's going to have a lot of the superstars from boxing that are in the world now. You got Canelo, you got Lomachenko, you got so many other fighters that are going to be in that game. Terrence Bud Crawford. It's gonna be a crazy game. I can't wait to play it. I'm in love with combat sports, period. So I watch boxing. I watch MMA. You even catch me, watching karate tournaments. Jiu-jitsu, the Eddie Bravo Invitationals. I just love combat sports, period. So I'll be on it. It's gonna be a real. I just kind of am holding off my judgments for the game until the game is actually released, because I feel like that's how you get let down. Is you have such high expectations, like, oh my God, this game's going to be better than UFC 4, and this game's going to be this, and that. And then when it comes out, you forget that this is the first game that this company is making that's a boxing game. So it's like, okay, you set the bar so high that if they don't meet that, then it's a disappointment. So it's like, okay, I'm going to wait to see the way that the game comes out, the way that the mechanics are, see the flaws in the game, how they react to the flaws, which is, I think that that's something that really pisses the community off about EA Sports Canada, is that they're very slow in reacting to the problems that are in the game. They don't address what the community wants them to address in patches. They kind of just take their time with it. So it's going to be real interesting to see what ESBC does and how quick they react to the flaws in their game. So it's gonna be real interesting. I can't wait to play it. I'm really excited. I already got some content in the works with some of the UFC 4 guys. We have some videos that are going to be dropped. I'm going to be grinding it hard on stream. And I'm going to be full committed to it, but I'm not going to leave UFC 4 to the side. I know a lot of people have been asking me about that. When ESBC drops, are you just going to stop playing UFC 4? No, I'm not going to stop playing UFC 4 just because ESBC drops. So I'm going to be grinding both games. It's nice to see another combat sports game coming into play. And then on top of that, right after, maybe like a couple, depending on when it gets released, we might see UFC 5 literally immediately right after that. So hopefully ESBC pushes UFC and pushes EA Sports to up their game, because then they have a little bit of a rivalry going on. And that's the best thing for everybody, is when two companies are making combat sports game and they're going neck and neck, because then the games are just going to be that much more amazing.
You know, I might be mistaken, but I heard a rumor as well, maybe actually a news press release, that One FC is also planning to make a combat sports game.
Ooh.
And that should be on PS5 as well. So I think that's really going to make a lot of, it's going to create a lot of buzz and excitement for all the esports fans, combat esports fans. So again, I think it's an exciting time to be a combat esports enthusiast, so to say. And that's really going to get the ball rolling for all of us. So the more the merrier, I would say. Sorry for that. As far as the community itself is concerned, like you mentioned, there are things that we require to fix. But you know, the custodians of the community are its streamers, are the people who are putting content day in, day out, like yourself, like Pryoxis, like Martial Minds, all the names that you've mentioned. And also, like you said, there are a few guys who are approaching you for advice, who are trying to get the ball rolling in their own favor. If there's anyone who you believe deserves the spotlight here at GameKheyl, anyone that you would like to give a shout out to and get their name out there?
I mean, there's quite a few. I mean, obviously, you know, the bigger ones, Pry and Marshall, they're still dropping. They're dropping stuff every single day, which is kind of crazy, man. It's kind of crazy. Of course, you got myself, but you got like JMMA. That guy's grinding hard. He just put out a dope video, man. If you guys haven't checked it out, make sure to go check that video out. It's crazy. It's he did a tournament between UFC 4 streamers and ESBC streamers. I myself was in one of the brackets, so it's kind of interesting that he put me in there. But shout out to him, T-Dog as well. He's grinding hard. He just hit over 1,000 subs on YouTube, so he's on his grind. There's a lot. Studi, or I don't know how to say his name. I don't want to butcher it, so hopefully I didn't butcher it, brother. Don't get mad at me, okay? Because we have a video that we're gonna be making pretty soon together. He's on his grind, man. Just hit, I believe, 9,000 subs on YouTube, which is great to see, man. Great to see. Of course, you got a lot more streamers that I'm probably missing out. Ruthless Omni, shout out to that guy. He's been grinding over there on Twitch this entire time. You got Gaming Echo, that guy too. He's been helping out. He did a money tournament, $1,000 money tournament, probably 3-4 months ago for the community. Yeah. I'm a Boxer is doing his tournament for the community. So there's a lot of content creators, man, that are out there. If you guys are just looking to find different content to watch, not everybody's doing the same thing. So I mean, you got Pry and Marshall, they're doing their things with their fighter showcases, but I know I'm doing tutorials. I'm doing beating up knee and elbow spammers from UFC 4. You know, I mean, JMMA is doing his content creator tourney for ESBC. T-Dog's doing his rage stuff. Omni's doing his submission stuff. Like it's a great time, honestly. It's really a great time to be a content creator and to be a content creator viewer. It's you have so many options to choose from, which back in the day you didn't really have that much option. So it's those are some of the channels that I would recommend. So shout out to those guys.
Well, I think you did justice to the time that you were allotted to for this. And again, I think you were very generous with your contribution towards making their names known. A lot of names that I'm already familiar with, thankfully, to due to my association with this community. And also a few new names that I'm definitely going to check out. And also for people who are watching, do give those guys some love, and I believe they deserve it as well. Well, I think it's really good to see the fact that you were able to share that spotlight with all of the names that you've mentioned. A few names that I was familiar with, again, JMMA and Omni. We've also had an interview with him as well. And other few names that we would love to have here at GameKheyl. Definitely do contact us after the end of this interview. And also, again, a great way to necessarily share the sunlight with everyone. There's enough sunlight for all of us to enjoy. And there's a lot of content creators out there who would want to get their name out there, who are producing extremely amazing content. And that's for the entire community to enjoy. And even if you're not a fan of combat esports, you might enjoy the personalities that are there. So again, I think that is something that is going to help a lot of guys who are watching this. And also us, we are also putting on content as quickly as possible. Do give us some love if possible. If you like this video, do share it with a few friends. We'll be grateful. So coming towards the end of this interview, I believe you should have yourself a few goals for the long run. You would want to be at a certain place. And maybe if that's not the case, if you have some aspirations in mind where, in terms of where you see yourself in a few years, maybe in a few months. So if you have any goals for yourself, community.
Yeah, I mean, I have big goals, man. I have huge goals. I have the end goal. So I kind of broke when I started on the content creator journey. I had goals, like short-term goals that I wanted to reach to, and then I had the super long-term goals and what I wanted to do overall. I reached a couple of my short-term goals. I got 1,000 subs on YouTube. I was able to start making a little bit of income from channel members, as well as, like, you know, starting to make a little bit of money on per clicks on my YouTube videos and stuff like that. But in terms of the goals for it, I mean, I want to be able to become a full-time streamer. That's the end goal. And I don't know when that's going to happen, or, you know, if it's going to happen. I don't know, but I'm going to be grinding up until I find out if it's going to happen or if it's not. But that's it. That's one of my goals. One of my goals is I have my own merchandise. I have my own Crook shirts that I sell. I'm going to be dropping a new batch of shirts probably at the end of this month. Then, you know, one of my big goals, just one of my bigger goals that I'll share with you guys is I eventually want to become a part owner of an esports organization. Hopefully end up starting up my own esports org, or owning my own esports team. Maybe, you know, sponsor a couple of UFC fighters if the game ends up getting big enough to where people can travel out and stuff like that. Or if not, branching out into other games, because I, you know, believe it or not, I do play other games other than UFC. People like to think that I'm just on UFC because I make content and I stream and all that stuff, but I do play other games. So that's one of my bigger goals in terms of my streaming. And you know, I'm just enjoying the journey, man. I have goals, but that's not what I focus on. What I focus on is just, you know, creating a positive environment, creating a fun experience for people to come in and see me, watch me play. I use a lot of 3.5-star fighters, 4-star fighters. I fight with people that you don't really see a lot of high-level elite players using, unless they're doing maybe like a showcase here and there. But really, my goal is just to make the community a better place, man, to help people, like I said earlier, just help people grow as players. Have fun with the game, because that's, at the end of the day, like you stated at the beginning, these are tumultuous times, man. We got, you know, everything going on in the world. I don't want people to come into my stream and bring negativity. You know, I want them to come in and have a good experience. If I'm live for an hour to 5 hours to 4 hours to 3, however long I'm streaming for, when you come in, you know, you're having a good time. We're going to have a good time. We're going to have some laughs. We're going to have some rage moments at UFC 4 that we all have. Yeah. But either way, I just want to create a good environment for the people that follow me, and hopefully that really resonates with people, and to motivate people as well. Hopefully it motivates people to just stay on the grind, because I'm nothing special, man. I'm a kid that comes from Stockton, California, bro. Like I come from nothing, really. My mom, you know, she grinded 9 to 5 with 3 kids. And really, you know, she never started up her own business or anything like that, but she made it to where I was going to have a better life. So if I can do it, if I can stay on my grind, if I can stream twice a day and do as much as I can do, then I hope it motivates somebody to do as much as they can do to help better themselves, whether that be by streaming, putting more work into their job, going to the gym, staying with their kids, do whatever you want to do with your career. I hope I motivate you, because I'm just a guy that just my main goal is just to outwork everybody that's on the side of me. So that's just my main goal for streaming, period. It's just to motivate people.
Some really nice words there, Crooks. And now, again, for everyone who wants to give some love to Crooks over here, he is, again, like we mentioned, he is a streamer. He is an elite gamer. If you want to give him some love, he puts in content every now and then. So give him some love. He's putting on some amazing content. In fact, he just recently posted a video of using a 3.5-star fighter against an OP Petrian, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. That's a video that I just released today.
Yeah, so give him some love. There's some amazing content on his channel, and also, like you talked about the merch, we are going to get those links here as well. We're going to place them in the bottom. Again, I'm pretty sure for all the funds that are generated on his stream, he's going to put that to great use, and again, do great things towards what he wants to achieve in terms of his own goals. So again, sir, thank you so much for your time. Any final thoughts?
No, man, I appreciate you having me on it. Yeah, this interview was set up quick, man. You hit me up, I believe, on Thursday night. We got it done. Friday night I was out. I got the message on my way out. I was like, yeah, for sure, man. We got to get this this interview in.
Yeah.
I've been watching pretty much every single interview you've done. So I appreciate you and what you're trying to do with shedding more light on the community. Shout out to Pry again for promoting me and giving me a huge shout out. I appreciate it. Shout out to all of the content creators, the ESFL, the content creators. Keep doing your thing, man. Keep dream chasing. I know there's some haters out there, and they know who they are, that try to say that, people shouldn't be chasing their dreams, that only so-and-so is going to make it. It's all hate. It's all water under the bridge, bro. Hate on me when you want to hate on me, but it don't matter. It ain't going to affect me anyways. So, just keep pushing out there. To all you guys that are just starting up, you guys can do it. Try to be the hardest worker in the room, because at the end of the day, that's what people respect, is the hard work. So shout out to you guys and keep on your grind.
Again, some really nice words in this one. I think like you mentioned, your journey and everything that you're going through, that's, I hope, going to inspire a lot of people watching this content. And for us here at GameKheyl, we are absolutely stoked and ecstatic to have a guest like yourself. And hopefully we get to do more content, more things like this with you in near future. And again, for everyone watching, we are trying our best to put on content like this day in, day out. If you have any recommendations, if you want to see someone that you really like, let us know. We have all the details mentioned below. You can engage with us on Twitter, on any other channel that you feel like it's deemed fit for you to contact us at. But at the same time, we are going to continue grinding. Like Crooks mentioned, we are going to make sure that you guys have the best possible experience that is coming your way. And we do have a few surprises in mind, and I'm going to share them with you shortly, perhaps in the next interview. But I hope you guys stay tuned for that. And again, for everyone watching, this is Naveed signing out, and hope you guys have a dope ass day. Peace.